Welcome back to the 4A Baseball Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. We made it through another series. This one was a bit more complicated because there's a lot of rainouts, and there were some teams that randomly just didn't play, but it was still fun nonetheless. We all clearly enjoyed it, and I like that we get to watch teams that we wouldn't normally watch without having to go out of our way. How are you guys doing today? All right.
Doing good. My team's a little moody to open the season, but I mean, I'm having a fun time watching baseball regardless. Devs, how are we doing?
My team is upset constantly. I mean, it's fun to watch baseball again. I mean, that's really all it's about at the end of the day. We got a couple different things going through. Some call ups, some big names, and everything in between. So I'm excited to get into it.
So, trying to think before we kick off into our recaps, are there any huge storylines that we need to put out there real quick?
I mean,
About like what happened, or like,
Yeah.
I mean,
not necessarily. I mean, there's some weird players that are performing better than some, all-star caliber players. We'll probably get to them when we talk about their series, but like there are some unexpected players that are performing, at high levels right now. Other than that, I can't really highlight anything. Brad, you got anything?
I'm just gonna say we finally have to see a Grayson Rodriguez debut.
yeah, that would have been the only thing I could have think of.
All right, so we're gonna kick it off. I've randomly spun a wheel, and if you heard our bit of a plunder of a recap last episode, we've tried to
Plunder.
go back and fix the format a little bit. So Stev's gonna kick us off in the AL. That's what the wheel decided today. He's just gonna take you through every series, and then we're gonna go back and we're gonna talk about things that we find necessary too. So Stev's,
Okay, so Blue Jays versus Royals is the first series we're going to talk about. Game one, Barrios gives up 8 runs, picking up right where he left off last season. Absolutely no missteps from him. But the Blue Jays try and rally late. Fortunately, it's not enough. Royals win game one, 9-5. Game two, Yusei Kikuchi makes his 2023 debut. He allows 1/5. Matt Chapman has 3 hits. First show hits his first Blue Jays home run, and Blue Jays take that game 4-1. Game three, winner take all. Alec Manoah and Zach Greinke combined for 15 fire emojis, but combined for 13 innings pitched and 1 earned run. I was reading Brad's notes there. The Royals offense stays absent. Guerrero Jr. and Varsho both record 3 hits as the Blue Jays beat the Royals 3-0, taking the series 2-1. Do you want me to just go into the next? Okay. Orioles versus Rangers. Game one, Orioles hit the Rangers pretty nicely. Kyle Bradish gets a comebacker off the leg, setting him to the injured list. And that was the only Rangers hit. Tyler Wells goes in relief instead of starting the next day and throws 5 no-hit innings. Orioles win 2-0. Game two, Andrew Heaney allows 7 earned runs in 2 2/3 innings pitched, picking up right where he left off. Dane Dunning, 4 innings pitched, 0 earned runs in relief. Ryan Mountcastle and Jorge Mateo both go deep, and Orioles win that one 7-2. In game three, we finally get to see Grayson Rodriguez's debut. He allows 2 earned runs in the first, but dominates in the next 4 innings. His final line was 5 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, and 5 Ks. DeGrom throws 4 perfect innings. His final line was 6 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 11 Ks. Josh Young does the damage as the Rangers escape a sweep by winning 5-2. Heading over to the Tigers and Astros series, game one, Hunter Brown gets hit extremely hard. Yordan Alvarez hits his 100th career home run, and Detroit scores 2 in the 10th. Astros only respond with 1 as the Tigers defeat the Astros 7-6 in game one. Game two, Framber Valdez looks like an ace as he strikes out 9 over 7 innings. Spencer Torkelson and Riley Green pop off. Matt Manning has his best career start with 5 2/3 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, 4 Ks. Tigers win 6-3. Game three, the Astros say no to getting swept like they did last time. But as they put their Cy Young contender out on the bump, Javier goes 6 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 5 Ks. Astros take this game 8-2. The Tigers take the series 2-1. Now, head over to the Guardians versus Athletics series. In Okay. In game one, crazy intense back and forth game. A's gets a Clase 10-10 going into extras, and the Guardians win 12-11. Game two, Bieber struggles, as does JP Sears, but both allowing 3 runs. A's walk off Karinchak 4-3. And game three, Hunter Gaddis allows 1 hit over 6 innings pitched. A's strike against the bullpen. Miles Straw robs a homer that would have put the A's ahead. Kyle Mueller looks solid, and Guardians score 2 in the top of the ninth to win the game 6-4 and the series 2-1. Now we head over to Los Angeles for the final American League Series as the Angels, or out to Seattle, sorry. Angels play the Mariners. Possible wild card contender. I would definitely like to see. I think we all would kind of like to see that because Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout in the playoffs would be amazing. Game 1, Kirby and Detmers. Kind of disappointing as Kirby allows 4 hits and Detmers allows 3. Or 4 runs and Detmers allows 3. Trout gets 3 walks. Ohtani hits a home run. Angels win that game 7-3. Game 2, Mariners have lost 4 in a row, and the stopper is on the bump. Luis Castillo goes 5 2/3 scoreless. Mariners get to Jose Suarez. Teoscar Hernandez hits his first 2 homers of the season, and Mariners win 11-2. Game 3, winner take all, and Ohtani's on the bump. He struggles for control early. The Mariners score in the first, but he settles in and strikes out 8 over 6 innings of 1-run ball game. Ohapi goes deep. Mariners try to answer late, but it is not enough, and the Angels take that game 4-3 and take the series 2-1.
I have a lot of comments there. It's just let's go. Let's start from the top. First of all, Steves, you did great.
You did great, Steps.
You
I'm
did
tired.
great. There's not much to say on Barrios. I am kind of surprised
Terrible.
that Kikuchi, picking up where he left off from spring training. Other than that, the only takeaway from this series for me is that Matt Chapman looks like a real offensive threat now. I think he had an error in this series, which is a little, not like him, but it's been like that the last 2 seasons. But I am liking this offense I'm seeing from him. No home runs, but he is going for extra bases pretty frequently. I think he's leading the league in doubles now.
Yeah, it's a contract year for him. So there's a payday
Yeah.
right there. Yusei Kikuchi might have only allowed 1 earned run. We had a 6.07 expected ERA. Not great, Bob. And
Defy
then
the odds.
that was like when I made the fire emoji comment. So in Baseball Savant, for every time a pitcher lets up a hard hit ball, they earn a fire emoji. So it's basically just saying it was the battle of luck, and luck won. So
Yeah.
That's fair.
I saw a tweet saying like Guerrero looks like a genuine like MVP contender again, and I'm kind of on board with that. Like
Especially, back-to-back days. Yeah.
Yeah. And especially like today, we're recording on Thursday, so we have a little bit of today bias from that. But even in that series, he still looks very good. He's literally the 100th percentile for max exit velocity, 545 expected WOBA through his first 7 games. It's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. And then moving on to the Orioles, Steves,
okay.
do you have anything takeaways from? Oh, Steves, no, you're okay. Go ahead, Steves.
I mean, the Royals need to get their offense actually kind of humming because they really have not showed up at all. Vinny Pasquantino has not been Vinny P. But when he is on base, they throw out a Sasquatch, which I think everyone finds fun. All right, now
Pasquatch.
yeah, but he's
Pasquatch.
I understand the joke, Brad. I understand the joke, but it's Sasquatch. Now we can head over to the Royals versus Rangers game, which I think the most important game was probably game 3. Because or game 1, I mean either one, but because heading into that series, they were the Rangers were lossless, and the Orioles
Undefeated, some would say.
Some would say, but some would also say lossless. But heading into that, they were undefeated. And the Orioles break that streak, winning the first 2. Then Grayson Rodriguez comes out, and he honestly didn't look terrible. He was a little, I mean, obviously nerves are going to get to you in your first start, and they did get to him, and the Rangers kind of pounced on it. So
Here are my takeaways. This Rangers team came into this series scoring like 11 a game for the first 3 games, and they come in and get 1 hit by this Orioles team who managed to struggle with the Red Sox offense. So it really is, quite what's the word?
An
I'm trying to
anomaly?
think. An anomaly. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just a little bit, it's a little out of blue here. I don't know if the Rangers offense just went to bed or if Baltimore pulled it together, but it looks a little interesting there. My other takeaway is that Jorge Mateo actually looks really good. Like he's hitting for, I'm not going to say power, but 2 home runs in 7 games while also stealing 4 bases. He might be a guy that's like a 20-20-30-30 threat now. I think he's got some sneaky pop. He's got decent exit velocity on his hits now. I mean, and he's already had the glove. So I think he has potential to kind of blossom into, a more complete player than he has been in the past.
wasn't he one of my players that like I pointed out at some point? I don't have the notes up, but I'm pretty sure I pointed out Jorge Mateo as like maybe like a breakout or like a player to watch or keep an eye on or something. I have a memory of it. I don't know. It's bad. I mean, hey, you guys listen to the podcast, so you guys would know.
Let's see. Steves, your breakout for the Orioles was Gunnar Henderson.
That
And
not
then
it was in it was
Super
in like
generic
a
pick.
it was in like a no it was in like a centralized episode we were talking about like breakouts or something. I don't remember what the episode was, but I remember talking about Jorge Mateo and you guys were like he's been on like 3 different teams at this point, Steves.
I don't
yeah,
know.
that is still a fact. He had
I mean,
It's still a fact.
whether
it is
he
still a
breaks out
fact.
or not, he has been on 3 teams. Dane Dunning looked pretty solid in relief for game 2. It's kind of weird that they had him go to the bullpen. If you remember a couple of seasons back, he was that big piece in the Lance Lynn trade. He's pretty
Yeah.
solid. He's not elite by any means, but it just feels like with Andrew Heaney kind of sucking, he might find himself a spot in the rotation. Steph saying Andrew Heaney picking off right where he left off. That's not true. He was actually pretty decent last year.
Yeah, but I just always have vivid memories of him being terrible. So
Well, he picked up from your memories where they left off.
Yeah.
I think Josh Young is actually like a legitimate hitter, and that's pretty big for the Texas Rangers. They've kind of been counting on an organizational third baseman for a couple of seasons now, almost a decade at this point, and he's kind of filling those shoes right now.
Yeah, I mean, I still have a lot of faith in this Rangers offense. I think from top to bottom they're pretty complete. And even Adolis Garcia, a guy that we're decently high on, is looking like one of the best bats on this team right now, while also providing a good glove in the outfield. I think he already has 1 out above average now.
That's singular.
It's 7 games though. He's on pace.
Oh
better
my
than CJ
God.
Abrams.
Any lasting thoughts on this series? Or are you ready to move on to the Tigers Astros?
I'm gonna put Adolis Garcia on April MVP watch. I'll
I
do
think he
that
could
right
be on
now.
April MVP watch. Yeah, put that down on the list.
I could see that for I could see it for AL MVP, yeah.
Yeah. All right, now moving on to Tigers Astros. I was extremely excited to watch Hunter Brown. I thought this was the perfect setup. You're starting at home against the Tigers. Wait, this was at home? Yeah, this was at home against the Tigers. And this was set up to be one of the best debuts ever. And he got hit pretty hard by this, pretty lackluster Tigers team, in all honesty. I'm a little disappointed. But then again, it was his first game. It's pretty hard to, pitch in the major leagues. But I don't know. I had a little bit higher hopes. You guys agree?
I mean, this
I
wasn't his
mean,
first
yeah.
game. He pitched
No,
last
like
season.
no, as in that rotation though, with the hype.
That's
And
fair.
did he start last year or did he come out of the bullpen last year?
I'm looking right now. Hunter Brown.
I thought that was his
Ah,
first start.
He had
Like
2 starts last year.
2 starts. Okay.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Last year or so far this season, a very small sample size. His best pitch via run value is the splitter. You're just looking at the stuff though, it's legit. Like the slider and knuckle curve are both 118 stuff plus pitches. That'll play. I think the only thing he has to do is just really settle in. If you can provide consistency with location and just use it more effectively, which in the Astros organization, we know he will. I think it's just a first start jitters. I think he'll be okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely agree.
I mean,
Um,
I would be checking the exit velos every night. I like checking the batted ball, like anything to do with after the game, I just check. And it is so frustrating to look at every day Spencer Torkelson's exit velocity numbers because everything is pointing towards, he should be getting on base a lot more frequently. I think he's got like a 360 expected batting average to like a 210 batting average. But that did come through in game 2. He did look good. And I really do think that is a confidence booster for someone like him. I think he definitely needed that. I'm not going to say this Tigers team looked as good as the Astros did bad, if that makes sense. I just don't think this Astros team is looking good right now. What do you think? Do you think that the Tigers look, like they're a better team because they beat the Astros, or do you think the Astros look like a bad team because they lost to?
I mean, you got to take into account that the Astros aren't at full strength right now, and I think they're I think I'm not gonna say they're having like they're not having like I'm trying to think of the word. Like they're
I know
having a
what you're
poor
saying.
season because they just won the World Series. They're having a hangover, a championship hangover season. But I think it's gonna take some time to get them started. Once Brantley comes back, I think we'll see kind of more things the pitching staff is kind of it's got to work out its bugs. They're still kind of young and they're still trying to fix everything together. And then a month later, after Brantley comes back, then they'll get Altuve back. I was getting there, Tom.
That's a big
But
difference maker.
I mean, they're both a big difference maker. Once you get, because Brantley will be back in about 3 weeks, and then Altuve should be back about a month after Brantley comes back. So once you get those guys back, I think you'll see the Astros firing on all cylinders. But game one was actually like I was watching another game, and then I was writing my paper, and I looked up, and then I got like a notification or something that it was tied between the Tigers and the Astros, and I was like, there's no way. It's not possible. And then I watched out the rest of the game, and I was extremely excited that the Tigers actually beat the Astros, because it's just hilarious and chaos.
The thing
Yeah, I mean
is,
that's
like the Astros struggle in the early seasons. They've done it for the past couple of seasons. And 2020, they didn't have the opportunity to work out of it in the regular season, but they did it in the postseason. Last year they won the World Series and they struggled at the beginning. I think again, we're grading it a little bit more strictly, kind of just basing it on this year. So yes, for this year they don't look great, but I think they'll be perfectly fine. It's the Houston Astros. They've earned the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, that sounds about right. But this Guardians Athletics series was absolute chaos. And I Brad, you sent us, or it was Brad or Stebbs, one of you two sent me a link, Twitter link talking about how the A's don't realize that they're bad, so they're playing like they don't care.
Yeah, it was Brad.
It's just how it is, man. I mean, there's no other way to say it. Like they are genuinely a scrappy team, like we discussed in the last episode. They're actually might pick up a couple wins from some pretty good teams, like we saw in this series.
Yeah,
I
I
mean, I
think
mean,
you got it, Stebbs.
yeah, we talked about it last time. Like, um, they play well to their competition. They're gonna go out there and they're gonna fight. And it's gonna be. I mean, again, no one wants to watch athletics baseball because they're terrible. But I mean, it's gonna be fun to watch them kind of come out and try and knock out the heavyweights.
Yeah, and they're a team that definitely, I think, they're going to steal a couple wins. The thing is, I feel like this series makes the Guardians look worse than it does the Athletics pesky. I don't think this series looked good on the Guardians.
That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, other than Kyle Muller really running the third game, I would say it was kind of a weak showing of the bullpen, which I thought was the Guardians' strong suit. You know, they got to Class A and Karinchak. They're two guys that I thought were kind of untouchable. And I was like, that's impossible. It's not possible to touch Class A, but somehow the Oakland Athletics have done it. Which I would not be concerned about as a Guardians fan. Honestly, that's two games right there, but I think if you're going to point out a weakness of this Guardians team, I think it's now the bullpen, which is the problem.
And on
I
the
mean, yeah.
contrary, I think you have to like the defense, which you've seen
Oh
from the
yeah.
defense.
Oh my God, yeah.
There was the play from Andres Jimenez yesterday. He almost made like this ridiculous play in right field, and it just like popped out of his glove. Thankfully, like it didn't affect the outcome of the game.
Yeah.
Hunter Gaddis, when Tristan McKenzie went down, he got thrown and he didn't look good in his first start. And everyone's like, uh-oh, this is bad for the Guardians. I was one of those people. And we forget that the Guardians are one of the best pitching dev organizations in all of baseball. And he goes out and allows one hit over 6 innings. Yes, it's the Athletics. But it's still a good thing to see from the second start of someone's career.
I mean, as much as we want to say, yeah, it's the Athletics, they're still professional athletes, and they're still good at the game of baseball. There's a reason they've made it to the majors, even if they are on, again, the Athletics, but they are playing on the major leagues for a reason, because they're pretty good at the game. So they're going to go out there and they're going to fight every single day. No team wants to lose, even if you are the Oakland Athletics. No team's going to go out there and attempt to lose. That's just not. It's not how an athlete plays. It's not how anyone should work.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean that pretty much wraps up my thoughts on that series. Do you have any other lasting thoughts? I'm ready to talk about this last series.
Yeah, this next series is probably one of my favorites. Like from the start, because they were tweeting stuff about like Shohei and Ichiro, like meeting before the game, and then J Rod and Mike Trout meeting before the game is really really cool. And it's very fun to see what those two, like what all of those people are doing. Tom?
I mean, my takeaway from this series is that Luis Castillo is a early Cy Young contender already. I really like Luis Castillo this season. As we mentioned previously, the Kirby versus Detmers experience did not really live up to the hype. I was kind of hoping that would go a little bit better, but that is their first starts of the season respectively. But both offenses looked pretty good throughout the series. I do think the Mariners have a bit of a offensive struggle early this season, but that's definitely probably because they played two fairly good ball clubs. I think they can probably bully down on some weaker clubs, and they can also win some good series. I don't know. This series kind of confused me because going into this, I really wouldn't have thought that the Angels would come away winning this series 2-1.
I mean, I don't know. The both the Mariners and I mean the Guardians, like that was the first series, and it was a really, really good series. And I think they're on an equal plane with each other. I think there's some things they got to work out. Um, but again, the Angels are looking they're looking pretty good. No matter how much you want to say they're the Angels, though, blah blah blah. They're looking pretty good. Bullpen again could use some help. Maybe they'll get that throughout the season. We gotta hope that the Angels have some sort of tricks up their sleeve because we want to see Ohtani and Trout in the playoffs. And if we're not going to see Ohtani and Trout in the playoffs this year, hopefully we'll see Ohtani in the playoffs next year.
Brad, you got any thoughts on that?
I think that the Mariners, they're okay. They had a 4-game losing streak and they put in their stopper and it was effective. They won the game pretty convincingly, in all honesty. But I think the issue is right now they're not firing on all cylinders. We were kind of high on Jared Kelnick from spring training, and that hasn't translated right now. Wheeler Rodriguez is starting to go a little bit, but they aren't going right now, and that's okay. They struggled a little bit at the beginning of last year, and they still ended up making the playoffs. I just think they are really benefiting from the Astros not starting off well.
I mean, yeah,
100%.
and the Angels taking 2 out of 3 from what because they're both in their division from the Angels or from the Athletics and the Mariners. That's really, really important. They need to win series. If they can win nearly every series they're in, they're going to make the playoffs. That is the most important thing for the Angels, especially against their own division.
Absolutely.
I mean, Castillo looked sensational. I love Luis Castillo. He's one of my top 5 picks for Cy Young. I know Ohtani looked absolutely sensational in Game 3 as well.
I am prepared for my section, the National League.
Tom, you have 3 games.
I only have 3 games.
I think you got
Yes.
4.
I have a lot. Well, thank goodness. Okay.
No,
All
you
right.
have
So
4.
the first series, and I think this is a telltale sign of the season. The Brewers came out and made a statement versus the Mets. Game 1, Brewers absolutely wiped the floor, 10-0. Carlos Carrasco gets hit hard. Freddie Peralta looks like his 2019 form, and Bryce Terang gets his first career home run. It was all Brewers Game 1. Game 2, nothing changed. It was all Brewers again. They got 5 off Scherzer, and they ended the game 9-0. That's back-to-back shutouts against a team that is spending $5 billion. They went back off Max Scherzer, a pitcher who is regarded as one of the best of our generation. Brian Anderson and Garrett Mitchell each hit 2 bombs each. This offense looks amazing. Sorry, I'll get to that in a little bit. Burns looks real rocky. That's Brad's notes. That's a reference to the Colorado Rockies because he does not look good. However, the offense did fight back, and there was a walk-off by Garrett Mitchell. In this series, Anderson and Mitchell both hit 3 bombs respectively, and they swept the Mets, the mighty Mets. And I think that really does make a statement for how good this team could be. Cubs versus Reds. Reds take Game 1, 7-6. Not much going on there. Game 2, big debut here, or season debut for Hayden Wesneski. He took the bump for the Cubs, and he looked okay. Not pure dominance, but they definitely got some run support by the Cubs offense, who combined for 12 runs on 16 hits. And Game 3, the big rubber match, it got rained out. I guess we'll have to find out later. Next series is the Braves versus the Cardinals. Game 1, all Braves. Austin Riley, 473-foot bomb. That was crazy. Acuna and Albies also go deep. This was really just, a Braves offensive breakout again. Morton pitched decent, but the Braves come out on top 8-4. Game 2, a guy I'd never heard of, Dylan Dodd, makes his Dylan debut, and so does Dylan. And he does Dylan decent. Brad, this is oh, that's a tongue twister, man. You just set me up here. The Cardinals offense only produces 1 run, but every batter gets exactly 1 hit. Interesting statistic right there. But the Braves come out on top 4-1. Game 3, Miles Michaelis gets hard again, but recovers after a rush 2 inning. Yeah? What?
He gets hard again?
No, I said he gets hit hard again. You guys misinterpreted. Jordan Walker gets
You
his
did
first
not
home-
say that.
I literally did. Jordan Walker
Yeah, you
gets his
did.
first career home run. That's gonna be the first of many for him. Matt Olson also has 3 RBIs as he doubles twice and hits a home run. And the Braves go on to win 5-2. The Cardinals have not looked very good on the pitching side of things, but then again, they are playing one of the best offenses in all of baseball. Up next, we got a 2-game series here. The Padres versus Diamondbacks. Brent Honeywell whips out the screwball. I don't know who Brent Honeywell is, but he is on the mound. Evan Longoria hits a go-ahead homer. He's looked very good this season. David Dahl and Ha-Seong Kim go back-to-back home runs off Scott McGuff, my apologies, to walk it off and win 5-4. Game 2, Yu Darvish looks a little shaky at the beginning, but allows 1 earned run in 5 innings pitched. Gallen does not look good to start the season off. Gets hard again. Can we do a cut here? We're gonna do a cut here. Okay, I gotta take a breather. Because I'm reading this and I'm looking at
Fuck
stats.
you.
Fuck you, Steve. All right. Yu
Dude.
Darvish is shaky, but only allows 1 run Steph, stop laughing. Stop
Just
laughing.
go back from Gallon. Start at Gallon.
Okay. Gallen gets hit hard again. He's not been looking too good this season through his first 2 starts, but that is going to be okay in the long run. A 4-run eighth vaults the Diamondbacks ahead as they win 8-6 for a series split in a 2-game series. In the next series, you got the Dodgers versus the Rockies. Michael Grove looks, okay. It's a close and competitive game until late, and then there was a 7-run 5th inning from the Dodgers. Jason Hayward hits his first bomb. Dodgers win 11-4. Game 2, Herman Marquez comes out after a pretty good debut, and the Dodgers get to him pretty quickly. Urias goes 6 scoreless, and the Dodgers win 5-2. Hayward and Smith go deep again. They are looking very good. I think Will Smith is definitely in that Player of the Month conversation at this point. What are your thoughts on these National League matchups?
Before I forget this, Jason Hayward, I believe, has 9 balls in play. 7 of them are hard hit balls, and his average exit velocity is 94 miles an hour.
He's pretty good.
What do they do to him, man? He's never been a good hitter. He
That's-
even in his prime day, he was not a very good hitter. He was probably below average his entire career, and now they got him. They done fixed him.
Hey, that's my breakout player. I'm just saying he's breaking out.
My takeaway from the first series in the Mets versus Brewers is that
Mets suck.
no, it's less about that, more about the fact that when I think of the identity of the Brewers, I think Willy Adames, Christian Yelich, even William Contreras and like Rowdy Tellez. None of those guys are producing, and yet they're still probably in that conversation for one of the best offenses in baseball. And that has been completely boosted by Brian Anderson. Jesse Winker's been playing good. Weimer hit his first home run. Terang hit his first home run. And then Garrett Mitchell obviously is looking like an early, candidate for Rookie of the Year as well. I don't think he met the threshold last season when he got called up, so he's also going to be in that conversation. It seems like there's a lot of unlikely heroes on this squad that are contributing to the offense and not really the guys you'd expect.
I mean, I think the people everyone's kind of hitting on all cylinders. I hope they can continue this throughout the season, right? It's again small sample size. We're literally a week into the season, right? So we gotta hope that these guys can continue to play at this high of a level throughout. I literally called the Garrett Mitchell walk-off home run. I turned to my roommate and I was like, he's gonna hit one, and then literally a pitch later, he smacked one over the right field wall. I definitely agree. I think the Brewers are a fun team to watch. Hopefully Burns looks a little less rocky and a little more Brewer. But we'll see how he kind of settles down throughout the season.
I kind of like the Brewers. If you guys didn't know, I had them winning the NL Central. I think that this is an accurate reflection of what their ceiling is. I just need to make sure that they play. They're not going to be able to play at this level the whole season. They just need to make sure they don't fall from grace. And on the other side, the Mets have fallen from grace. They look like crap. Yeah, that's my thoughts on that series.
Yeah,
Man,
I mean,
that's a pretty good
yeah.
synopsis of it. Let's head over to the Cubs versus Reds. What are your takeaways of this series?
There's
nothing to really take away.
Yeah,
I mean, it's pretty,
that's
yeah.
pretty much there was one game that we covered pretty much.
Yeah, welcome to
Yeah.
the NL Central. That's how it is.
I mean, yeah.
Really, there wasn't much this year. So the Cubs and Reds both hit the ball. Cubs did it more.
A couple times.
Yeah.
Let's over to the Braves versus Cardinals now. I mean, the Braves are just unstoppable, it feels like, and it sucks. But I I don't know if it's more about the Braves just being good or the fact the Cardinals just have zero pitching. But
I mean,
what are you guys thinking?
I
the
think
Cardinals
that
offense. Yeah, Brad, go ahead. No, go ahead.
you can talk about the offense. I have a different point.
The Cardinals offense is the real deal. And we know this. We know this. I've said it a million times. If you watch the podcast, I say this every episode I get a chance to. The offense has been the real deal. They are a top 10 offense. They are a top 3 offense in baseball. They cannot just continue to build this and not build pitching around it. They're never going to win. You cannot succeed without pitching. And they are going to they're going to pay for it. I mean, they have a pretty wide window here with a, pretty successful franchise, but God, just get some pitching. Brad, what are your thoughts?
I was going to say that their offenses are eerily similar to the Braves and the Cardinals, but here's the thing, right? When the Braves pitching gets hurt, they pull up Jared Schuster, they pull up Bryce Elder, they pull up Dylan Dodd, and they pitch fairly well. The Cardinals don't have those guys in the system to call up and perform.
I mean,
That is the difference between these two organizations. And in all honesty, that's what happened in this series. The Braves were ready. They had supplemental pieces to put in. The Cardinals didn't. And they're regular pieces. They're Miles Michaelis, who's supposed to be their guy. He got innings for them, but they weren't good innings.
Yeah, it just seems like a bunch of. I mean, there's not a standout guy in this rotation at all. They all seem like 2 to 3 guys. No ace, no true ace. Even when Wainwright comes back, he is like 47. So I don't think he's going to stand out as an ace either. They need to make a move at the deadline if they want even a chance at getting the Central, because right now it looks like, through 7 games, obviously take out a grain of salt. It looks like it's all Brewers.
I mean, yeah, there's not really much more I can add. Jordan Walker looks pretty fun to watch. Again, I think what you guys had him as your rookie of the year. So I mean, it's definitely possible. Highly likely in all honesty. Still a long season ahead though. Let's over to the Diamondbacks versus Padres series. That first game though, Ha-Seong Kim with the walk off on the back to back after David Dahl goes yard and then Ha-Seong Kim goes yard. Back to back. I mean, that's just fun baseball. I mean, what more do you want?
Yeah, I mean, my takeaways from this series is that, and also I didn't think a team like the Padres should be even in this situation where they're losing to this Padres team, like not to this Diamondbacks team. Like, it doesn't seem like this should be close, but for some reason it is. I think that says more about the Padres having some early worries, some early, nervousness, I guess. Stes, what do you think about that?
I mean, it's early in the season, right? I mean, they came in. Yu Darvish looked pretty good when he did come out in his first start of the season. Unlike how Brad and I thought he started on opening day. Last episode he did not. That was Blake Snell. Tom was correct on that. But he came out and he pitched pretty well. I mean, there's not much more you really want to say. I mean, the Padres and the Diamondbacks again. We all kind of said the Diamondbacks are gonna be fun to watch this year, and so far it looks like they are. They've kind of come out and won some games against 2 teams that are supposed to be like favorites to win and not only the NL West but the NL pennant.
Yeah, the Diamondbacks they're a pesky little team. They play small ball, right? They've got a couple
They
power
do.
bats in Longoria and Walker. Kyle Lewis has hit a bomb or two, but they play small ball. They're speedy, and if they can keep that identity, it kind of reminds me of the Guardians minus the pitching.
I mean, yeah, and
Yeah.
I think the pitching's coming slowly.
I agree.
I
I'd like
mean,
to see
yeah.
Gallon bounce back though.
And I think he will. It's gonna take
Yeah,
time.
he's got the talent. He's got the stuff. It's just a matter of, working back to the mean. He'll get back there.
Hmm.
Final series before we get into Interleague. Dodgers Rockies. It was just the Dodgers beating down on the Rockies. I mean, the Rockies did actually, surprise me quite a bit in their first series against the Padres, but the Dodgers have ruined all hopes for them, and I am happy about that because I am rooting for the downfall of the Rockies. Except for at the same time, I really dislike the Dodgers, but I think I dislike the Rockies more because I need them to sell the team and build as a franchise.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think that Michael Grove looked okay. Like his stuff was there. He just got peppered around the yard.
uh, I mean, at this point, I don't know what you really want from like the Rockies ownership because they're not the team's terrible. So if they're not gonna sell when the team's terrible, then when are they gonna sell? How much worse can you really get? I mean, you could get Athletics worse, I guess, but I mean, I don't know. I don't really. There's not really much to take away. The Dodgers kind of beat up on a terrible team. That's really it.
It's what they're supposed to do. Will Smith looks really
Yep.
good. Jason Hayward, resurgence project. Like it's exactly what the Dodgers are supposed to be doing with teams like that.
Yeah.
All right. So with that, we're gonna hop into the IL. I've got my sprint here. All right. So hopping into the Interleague, we had a couple of pretty big series. We're going to kick it off with the Giants White Sox. On here, I only had the first two games. The first two games coming in. Thankfully, someone updated it with the Giants in Game 3. Thank you, Tom. Giants take care of business in Game 1, 12-3. DeSclafani looked fairly decent. They win at 12-3. He allows no runs over 6 innings pitched. That's really good news for Giants fans. He really dealt with injuries over the 2022 season. Game 2, though, cease and desist strikes again. He strikes with control. He struggles with control and some sniffles, but he blows his nose and blows it by the Giants as the White Sox win at 7-3. That was a pretty good one. And then I had series split, but then the Giants actually went out today and they won 16-6. I don't know why they didn't play on Tuesday. It wasn't anything about like postponing or anything, was there?
I don't think so. I know they moved the game up yesterday, but not they moved it up because of weather, or 2 days ago. They moved the game up an hour, but like other than that, I don't know why.
Eh,
Um, yeah.
Yeah. And moving on, we go down to Miami, right? And it's actually like a pretty fun series. We have the Twins and the Marlins. Johnny Cueto goes out. He's shaking his bum a little bit, and he gets rocked in doing so. He allows 4 in the first, and it also looks like he got rocked hard enough to send him to the IL. We wish him our best. Tyler Mahle, on the other hand, looks fantastic. The Marlins could not figure him out. He has 5 innings pitched, 7 strikeouts, only 1 earned, and the Twins offense just fires on all cylinders as they win the game 11-1. Game 2, aquí es el caballo, Snatty Alcantara, Tom Cy Young, the reigning Cy Young. He goes a complete game shutout. It's not the most dominant shutout, but the Twins just couldn't seem to figure him out. And he goes 9 innings pitched, 5 strikeouts for the shutty. He outduels Kenta Maeda, who made his return from Tommy John surgery, striking out 9 over 5 innings pitched. But they did have to pull him after that 5th inning because he had some tingling in his right arm. Thankfully, it looks like he'll be okay. If anything, it'll just be a misstart. But I'm glad that he'll be okay. I think that's big for the Minnesota Twins because their rotation looks pretty good. As in Game 3, Pablo Lopez makes his return to Miami, and he goes 7 innings pitched, 1 earned, strikes out 8. But he's out-dueled by the Jesus Lizard, who strikes out 10 over 7, also allowing 1 earned run. And the Twins bullpen blows it. The Marlins take the series 2-1. Rays versus Nationals, Rays in DC, and we know what happens when a team visits DC. Drew Rasmussen looks fantastic in Game 1. Luke Raley hits 2 bombs. Rays win 6-2. Game 2, the Nationals, they have a lead. The Tampa Bay Rays are undefeated. It's the 9th inning. They're up 6-5. And Stev's favorite pitcher, Kyle Finnegan, toes the rubber, and he allows 5 earned runs as the Rays win 10-6. Game 3, Shane McClanahan on the bump. He struggled with command a bit. He still looks really good. Patrick Corbin gets hit pretty hard again, but he does make it through 6 innings, which is good for the Nationals bullpen. If you're not going to be good, you might as well at least throw innings, right? Rays win 7-2, and they sweep 3-0, moving to 6-0 on the season. Going to the Bronx, we got 2 more series here. We got Phillies, Yankees, and the Phillies haven't won the game. Game 1, they haven't won a game again. They're lost. Nestor Cortez does some shaky movements, but he doesn't look the best. Makes it through 5 with 1 earned run. The Yankees win 8-1. Game 2, the Phillies are on the board, baby. The Yankees called on a starter, but the Phillies signed Matt Strahm, who's a reliever, but he started through 4 innings. So reliever turned long opener, so like a middle starter. Is that what you're going to call it? But not like a 3. He threw 4 scoreless innings, and Kyle Schwarber, who had been abysmal, finally hits a bomb. Schwarber and Marsh power the Phillies to their first 2023 win. But that's all the coal they had on their train, because the other coal train came into town. Garrett Cole strikes out 8 over 6 1/3. He looks fantastic. He outduels Aaron Nola, who's been a bit shaky to start the season. Both Steves and I Cy Young picks, not looking great. Yankees win 4-2 and take the series 2-1. Lastly, we go to Fenway, where the Pittsburgh Pirates sweep the Red Sox. Oh my God. The Pirates bullpen allows 1 earned run over 9 2/3 pitch. Ryan Reynolds on fire. Corey Kluber kind of bounces back, but the Red Sox just weren't ready for the Pirates. And that is the
I
Interleague.
Interleague is been very interesting recently. I think there's takeaways from every game. The first one I think I should probably take over, and that is the Giants are good every other game. On even days we average something like 11 runs a game. And then odd days we average 0. So I don't know what Giants team this is. It's different. The feeling I got today watching this team reminded me of the 2021 Giants because it wasn't really one guy taking over. Like, on a team like the Yankees, it's usually Aaron Judge taking over. On a team like, there's a lot of teams that have one guy that stands out. But this team, when they're all on, they're all on. Unfortunately, that means the opposite when they're off because, my God, it's horrible when they're off. I don't know what the identity of this team is, to be honest. If they can, start to find some consistency, there is a real threat, and it's honestly surprising me how they've managed to, have such an offensive explosion with an offense that I really didn't have much faith in, even as a Giants fan. What are your thoughts on that?
I feel like there's no star. I think we talked about this. There's so much in the offseason. Obviously, like the Correa Judge, they tried. But we're past that now. It's in the season, and they still don't have a star. And that's big. Logan Webb looked really solid versus the Yankees, but he still allowed 4 runs. And he did the same thing against the White Sox in game 2. Like he looked okay, but he allowed 4 runs again. Ross Stripling got hit ridiculously hard. Alex Cobb was okay, wasn't great. Just right now, their best starter has been Anthony DeSclafani through a single start. I'd like to see that get going a bit more, and I think the Giants will start to progress a little bit more like that.
See?
I mean, I agree with Brad's point. I mean, the Giants, they lack a star, and I think star power is really important. Well, it is important to have a full like 1 through 9, all like players that can hit on cylinders that need to be hit on, for their respective like positionings, right? Like you will have the guy that is primarily power, the primarily contact guy, the speed threat, the defensive threats, those guys. But you need, if they throw an Aaron Judge in this lineup, I like this team. I don't like the team. You need an ace. I mean, Camilo Duvall is pretty good, out of the pen. So like maybe he's your star, but who would you say is your quote unquote star just for the Giants?
I mean, right now, our team hits for power. I mean, the power numbers have been crazy. I mean, I think we've hit something like probably 12 home runs in the last 3 games, or maybe 13. But we are not hitting for average, so there's not really a guy that's taken over, and it's pretty balanced throughout the team in terms of production. And that's kind of what you get when you have a team without a star. You kind of get everyone firing on all cylinders, which at times can be good, like in games like today and 2 days ago or 3 days ago. But when it doesn't work, it seems like no one can get anything going. And it seems like there's a lot of mental aspects going into this team. That's just my main takeaway. I mean, it really, you just got to be more consistent. You got to find a consistent stride.
And
I
before we
mean,
move on, I just want to touch on the other side of that coin, though. The White Sox were in the series, right? Tom, you're a little bit higher on them than both Stevs and I. You had the making appearance in one of this week's power rankings. I am not a believer in the White Sox. One of their biggest bats also just went down to the IL. He's going to be out for about 5 weeks at the minimum, and I don't trust the White Sox. Dylan Cease is really good. Michael Kopech looked like shit. Excuse the profanity, but you can't. He allowed 5 runs in 3 innings. He did allow, or 5 home runs. Excuse me. He allowed 5 home runs in 64 innings last year. I don't trust the White Sox.
I mean,
What did Eloy go down with this time?
Strained hamstring.
yeah.
How? He's not
Running.
playing in the field. I don't just make him walk, dude. At this point, the team has so many. I don't know. You just can't waste it anymore. But I mean, I am pretty high on this team. They do get on base a lot. That's kind of what you want from a team offensively. They are pretty high in hits, top 5 in hits, top 3 in on base percentage probably. They're a decent team, and they have some pieces on this team that are performing at a high level. Pretty high on this team, but the pitching staff didn't look good, and their bats, along with the Giants, have been pretty streaky too. They've been pretty on and off. When they're on, their offensive production is a lot different.
Eloy's supposed to be out for the next 2 to 3 weeks, so that's going to be it's going to be very, very harmful for this White Sox team. I mean, I like them. I like their offense. And their starting rotation isn't incredible, but Cease comes and brings it, and they have some decent guys throughout. The bullpen's kind of been their weaker point, I would say. But I don't know. I want to like the White Sox, but I just hate the White Sox. Like, I mean, there's just I don't know if they can put it all together to win the Central. But I mean, I don't know. Right now, it's a three-headed monster right now in the AL Central, and it's just a matter of who's gonna kind of falter, I think. And I think the White Sox are the most likely to falter.
All right, so moving on down to Miami. The Twins pitching is really solid, right? And when they hit, they win games right now. But their losses came when they faced dominant starting pitching. And Sandy Alcantara and Jesus Luzardo. I know, Tom, you're really high on Jesus Luzardo.
I mean, I'm high on both of them. I think Jesus Luzardo coming into the season, Brad, you're concerned about the health. I'm just concerned about the, effectiveness of his actual pitching. But he seems to be actually blossoming into a star here. I'm not going to say 2 starts is enough to consider him like in that all-star category, but he's looked like absolutely dominant in these 2 starts. I'm not going to say the Twins, offense is crazy, but I think Jesus Luzardo's got something going here. He's definitely got one of the best starts you can have to a season. He's had the stuff since he was on the A's. He's been that guy. Never took the next step, but I think this maybe a late bloom, being in that Marlins organization is all he needed to make the next step.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, I like the Marlins starting rotation, and I think Jesus Luzardo is going to come out and he's going to bring some energy that they really need. One point on the Sandy game, it was the quickest game of the season so far at 1 hour and 57 minutes, and he did that in 100 pitches. Absolute domination, and I think a big thing going into that Kenta Maeda kind of re-injury was the fact that he wasn't able to sit and recuperate for long times in the pen or in the dugout because he had to get back out there because Sandy worked so fast. And I think that's something that I think Sandy's going to try and use to his benefit is go out there, pitch quick and get back into the dugout.
I think that's interesting. I could definitely see him trying to like use it as almost an offensive advantage.
Yeah.
That's
Tom,
interesting.
Tom, you got any other takeaways from the series?
I mean, Twins offense doesn't threaten me too much. I think both pitching rotations and staff in general are both extremely solid. I think as of now the Twins are still the better team, regardless of the series output.
Yeah, I definitely agree. But I think now it's time to head into my Washington Nationals and their play against the Rays. I mean, game one, it was Rasmussen kind of went out and did his things. He did pretty good. Game two, the Nats offense, it came out and it played. Like Victor Robles has looked really good through 6 games this season. Not saying he's going to be very good throughout the rest of the season, but he made some tweaks to his swing, made some tweaks to his approach, and he looks very, very, very good so far. Outside of that, Keibert Ruiz looks pretty good. And who's the other guy? Lane Thomas. Both of them look pretty good. Chad Kuhl got the game 2 start, and he looked okay, not anything crazy. But the big thing is going to be coming in the ninth, you throw out Kyle Finnegan and gives up 2 runs. That gives up the lead, 6-5. And then, I mean, after that, then he had runners on second and third with 1 out, and we're all texting our group chat. Why isn't Davey pulling him? I'm seeing it on Twitter. Davey doesn't pull him. He gives up a 3-run home run. Like, it's just like the situational awareness. And I know we're a losing club. It was supposed to be a moment of growth or whatever for Kyle Finnegan. Now it's a moment of failure for him. So that's not. I don't know. I think the majority of managers would have pulled that start in that position. I love Davey Martinez. He won the Washington National World Series, but I think at the end of the season, it's got to be time to move on. Game 3, Patrick Corbin didn't look terrible. I mean, he did get hit pretty hard, but made it through 6 innings. At the end of the day, we're paying him what, $35 million this year and $28 million next year. He's gonna go out there and eat. He's got to go out there and eat innings, and I'm okay with that.
Saves young arms.
Yeah, I mean the Rays destroyed. I was watching the game with my dad.
Destroyed is a different. No, I wouldn't say
I
destroyed.
I was trying to get my dad hip to the Rays, and I'm like, this guy's pretty good. And then this guy hit a home run, and then I'm like, this guy's pretty good too. And then this guy hit a double, and then I'm like, Kyle Finnegan's pretty bad. And then he blew the save. It's cool to like to display to showcase your talent against Kyle Finnegan. It was really a display of how good the Rays offense can be and how bad the, you know, it's just Kyle Finnegan because honestly, the Nats bullpen has not
Oh my
looked
God.
awful.
Yeah.
It's really just Kyle Finnegan. I don't know. It's really a manager problem, I think. It comes down to that. That's my
I
takeaway.
think the entirety of the coaching staff has to go by the end of the season. I don't know. I don't know what the right steps are to take in all honesty, but I'm annoyed. I would like to take I don't care about our record. I'd like to take one game a series. That's all that I care about. One game a series. I don't think that's that much to ask. We couldn't do it in this one.
You just got to start a blank slate, man. You just got to restart somewhere. Sooner you do it, the better. You're really just belting away here. But that is all I got for the Rays versus the Nationals. Let's go into the Phillies versus the Yankees. I didn't really watch too much of the series other than Game 3. Not too many takeaways. I'm a little disappointed by the Phillies. That's the reason I didn't watch that much of the series is one, because I'm busy, but two, because I really don't like either the Yankees or the Phillies. I don't know who I would even root for in the series, to be honest. Probably the Phillies still, but I don't really like either of these teams. But I think the takeaways are that, you know, Cole is, an early Cy Young threat. That's really my takeaway from this series. That's all I got there. Oh, Brad, don't look at you like that.
I just love getting cooked on for that. I'll eat my words in a little bit. Just down the stretch, I'll let up a lot of home runs. But
Yeah.
right now, he looks really solid. The fastball shape has improved somehow. It went from like an 80 grade to like an 80 grade. Uh, he stopped throwing the crappy cutter. The Yankees were trying to experiment with a cutter last year. It was just bad. It messed up his slider, and now his slider's better because he doesn't throw the cutter. I really like that. I don't think Aaron Nola is this bad. He's just got a little bit unlucky, and the Phillies defense isn't helping him at all. I think that's my takeaway from this.
I mean,
There's
yeah.
anything else you got there?
Aaron Nola, I kind of again, I want to see a little more from my Cy Young pick, but I mean, in due time, again, it's first two starts of the season. He'll be fine. He'll bounce back. To Tom's point, I kind of agree. I don't really want to watch the Phillies or the Yankees. The only reason I would watch the Phillies is for Trey Turner and Kyle Schwarber, and saw some Schwarber bombs go off in this series. And I mean, hey, it was a good series all the way through, from top to bottom. But I think now let's go talk about the Pirates versus Red Sox. I mean, Pirates bullpen's pretty good, and Brian Reynolds is very good. Outside of that, what are you guys thinking?
I'm not sure about this Red Sox team. I mean, you don't just like they played well against the Orioles team. They dueled against this Orioles team, and then they go and get swept by the Pirates. And I don't know if this says more about the Pirates or the Red Sox. Brad, what do you think?
I think it's a matter of it. It's exactly what we said. They're a matter of the bats. If the bats are going, they're a competitive team because they didn't beat the Orioles like pitching dominantly. They outslugged the Orioles. And
Yeah.
if they're not slugging, they lose to teams like the Pirates, who Mitch Keller looked fairly solid. I believe Roansy Contreras started game 1 of the series. He looked fairly decent, right? If you have a competitive pitcher that can put down the Red Sox for the game, limit them to 3 or less runs, you're going to be able to score against this pitching. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly most impressed by the Mitch Keller start. I think that was, kind of a good sign in his direction. I think the Red Sox lineup is, not to be looked past. I think they actually do have one of the better offenses in baseball. Um, and Mitch Keller did fine against them. I think Driveline's been working for him. I think he's definitely established himself as the ace of the squad. I mean, that's not saying too much, but if he can develop, this is a good piece for him.
all right. So we're going to hop into power rankings. This is something that we're going to post at the end of every single week. You'll see it on our social medias. And I think we might have to change it up a little bit based on how if you guys like the pitching or not. We have it as pitching power rankings, hitting power rankings, and overall power rankings. So kicking it off with pitching power rankings, I'll read it through. You guys react to what you guys' thoughts are. Sound good?
Yeah.
All right. Coming in at number 10, we have the Texas Rangers. Number 9, Seattle Mariners. Number 8, the Cleveland Guardians. Number 7, the Houston Astros. Number 7, the Milwaukee Brewers. I can't read. Number 6, the Milwaukee Brewers. Number 5, the Atlanta Braves. Number 4, New York Yankees. 3, Minnesota Twins. 2, Tampa Bay Rays. And the best pitching team from week 1, the Los Angeles Dodgers, as voted by us 3.
Boo. Boo. I don't like this one. I didn't like this one. I did not vote for the Dodgers to be number 1. Who did this?
That was
I did.
Stabs, what are you
Where
doing,
did you
man?
have them? Where did you
I
have
have
them?
I have him at 3, I believe. I think
Why?
3 sounds just about right to me.
What was your 1 and 2?
It was the Rays and then the Twins who looked better than the Dodgers to me. But then again, I think it's a pretty much a 3-way tie between these 3 ball clubs. It's pretty dominant. I am surprised that the Rays did not come out on top. I think the Rays are right now the clear favorite for me at least. Going out of this week. But I think it is also a strength of schedule type of thing. And Brad's looking at me like a
Well,
angry
okay, so
Dodgers fan.
you were the one
That's
texting
not
us.
why I'm making
We
that
got to take into
face.
account the strength of schedule that they're facing the Nationals and the Tigers. We got to take that into account. I mean, the Dodgers have through the first based on what I had, a 4-2 record, 2.17 ERA, 2.40 FIP, and 1.8 WAR. That's a pretty good. I mean, they have the highest FIP and the highest WAR out of the teams
High FIP does
that
not
I
mean
was
good.
working through. You're not wrong, but that's
What?
those were the stats I was taking.
The lowest FIP?
Yeah, you meant the lowest. That's what he meant.
Sorry, yeah.
Okay,
I
okay.
did. Best fit. There you go.
Tom, the reason I made the face is because your number 1 vote was the Minnesota Twins, not the Tampa Bay Rays.
Really?
Yeah.
That was a miscue because on my paper I have Rays at number 1. But then again, also my Fangraphs page was not updated. I think this was after I was maybe missing about 2 or 3 games in my sample size there. It's hard to do it as it's updating, but right now, looking at this, I think I have to have the Dodgers move up at least 1. But I think the way it is constructed right now, I think it looks good. Are there any surprises that stand out to you? Think like the Angels deserve to be on this list?
The Rangers and Angels tied in vote total. The reason I put the Rangers on is because they had a higher vote than the Angels.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That's been my tiebreaker. Whoever has like the highest vote
Yeah.
gets the tiebreaker. The one that's it's not a surprise, but it's also not a surprise. The Astros, right? This is us weighing in last year.
Yeah,
that is what it is.
100%. I mean, other than that, I mean, other ball clubs that could have made it. Honestly, Miami would be, a 10 spot type of team, but I just can't compare them to any of the teams on this list and really, weigh them higher. But that's my only takeaway from this.
I know I threw the Mets in at 10 just because of like they have the names and coming into the season they were ranked really high. But I'm perfectly okay that they didn't make it. They don't deserve to make it. But it's especially with Verlander going down, they're going to be out without him. They're down without Edwin Diaz, and they're people that have been in have not looked very good. Outside of Kodai Senga looked pretty good through not the first inning, but the rest of the game.
And so for our hitting power rankings, again, this is the second part of it. In 10th, we had the White Sox. In 9th, the Yankees. 8th, the Padres. 7th, Astros. 6th, Brewers. 5th, Orioles. The 4th, Braves. 3rd, Dodgers. 2nd, Cardinals. And the best hitting team so far this season, the Tampa Bay Rays.
Here are my takeaways. The leaderboards for Baseball Savant just dropped. And in terms of WOBA, expected batting average, all the stats you would want to see from an all-star player, there are like 9 Rays in the top 15. It is crazy to see. I mean, even guys that you wouldn't expect. That makes sense to me. One team that I did place 1 vote for that didn't make this list, and I don't know if Brad knows what I'm talking about, but a team that is 5th in WOBA and was 3rd in WRC Plus was the Cincinnati Reds. Right now they look like a decent offense, but then again, this is a smaller sample size. I think they did have 1 game get rained out, and they are playing. I think they've only played 5 or 6 games now.
They also in Great American.
Hey, no. I am a believer in the Cincinnati Reds offense, but I just don't know if it weighs up against any of these other teams. But in terms of the rankings, you cannot deny the stats. The WRC plus, the WOBA, that is, telltale signs of, a productive offense. Steps, what do we got here?
So you're saying there's no way you took into account beforehand, like coming into the season, because that's literally what you talked about. You're like, you got to make sure take into account beforehand, Stevs, because I didn't really do that a lot.
I will fill in the viewers. There is
no way coming into the season
the Reds were number one on the list. They dropped to number 3 on the list, actually.
So now, where did you have them? Did you have them at 10?
I had them at 10, yeah.
Okay, there's no way they still cracked the top 10. I'm sorry.
I
understand it. I understand it because even on Fangraphs, they were in the top 10 for something. I don't remember
Everything,
what I
everything.
had.
God, the
No.
team.
Um,
No.
but no, there's no way you have the Reds are not a top 10 offense in baseball. They're not. Through the
Top
first
10 in top 10
six
in
games,
average, top 10 in on base
through the
percentage, top
first
10 in
six
WOBA.
games, they're not. Especially when you come in with the previous knowledge that we have coming into the season, Tom.
Brad, what are your thoughts on
They're
this?
not.
Because you said you were weighing 85-15, and that's what I kind of boiled it down to here.
I
in
think
terms
the,
of,
the
you know.
question is, right? Like, I didn't vote for the Reds. I'm double checking this right now. I don't believe I voted for the Rangers. I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, I would have put a team like the Rangers over them. I believe the Yankees didn't make, or the Yankees are number 9. I'd put them on. I don't think you had them on your list. I think there's just
Yeah.
there's a couple of organizations that are just better. I would probably put the Reds 13th to 15th.
I mean, I could see that, but I'm just okay. You put them in over the Yankees.
Wait. Hey,
Really?
I have my list on paper. Okay, ready? I have my list on paper because I was ready to
I have it
argue
right
it all.
here.
Okay, ready? Number 1, the Rays. Number 2, Cardinals. Number 3, Orioles, because they are first in WRC plus, first in WOBA, first in
That's
offensive
fine.
WAR.
I'm good with that.
Also leading league in steals as well.
I'm good with that.
4,
too.
I had Dodgers.
Yep.
You know, that's pretty self-explanatory. Then I had the Braves, and then I had the Padres. I feel like that makes sense for them to, you know, sneak in there. Then I had the Brewers. Then I had the Rangers, who had one of the best offensive opening series you could ask for, and that was against some of the better pitchers in baseball as well, Wheeler and Nola. Oh, wait a second. We got something going here.
You
The
didn't
Reds are above the White Sox.
You also didn't put a very specific team on here.
The Yankees.
The Astros.
Yeah, they don't look like a good team right now. I don't think. Nope.
248 average, 707 OPS, 103 WRC plus, 1.1 cumulative
They
WAR.
fall about 15th in about every stat. So they're
They
14th
have Astros courtesy right now.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
you're definitely giving them some leeway here. I mean, in
that's
terms
what
of
you
on base,
wanted us to do.
no, but you guys specified that you didn't want to do that.
I did not.
It's okay. I forgive
I
you,
was
Steve.
doing it about 70-30.
But no, I mean, this list right here is subject to change, and it obviously will change with the season. And
Yeah,
I think
it'll change
you know,
next
I
week.
think the hardest list to make is the first list, because the second list you can, you know, base off where the guys were last time, and by week it'll be easier to change. That's how power rankings work. So the first one's obviously gonna be chaotic, and I think it's funny that the Reds made my list. Uh,
Over the
I
White
just-
Sox and the
I
Yankees
just hope that I
and
hope
the
they can.
Astros.
Hey man, they're 4th in OPS in the league. I don't know what else I got to say about that. Which is bizarre to me, by the way.
All right, Brad.
Um,
Let's
go. Let's move
get
it.
let's
Yeah,
get
let's
to
All
move
right,
it
the
we're
forward.
wrapping it up with our final or our first power rankings of the season. So it's going to be a bit interesting. This is pretty much straight this season. These power rankings, besides our Astros and Padres, weight from existing. Number 10, the New York Yankees. Number 9, the Minnesota Twins. Number 8, the Los Angeles Angels. Number 7, the Texas Rangers. Number 6, the San Diego Padres. Number 5, the Houston Astros. Number 4, the Milwaukee Brewers. Number 3, the Los Angeles Dodgers. Number 2, the Atlanta Braves. And number 1, the Tampa Bay Rays.
You see, this is a lot more like you know, not surprising to me. You know, I think when it came to hitting and pitching, it was going to get a lot more extreme than some of the other cases. I mean, you weren't gonna. Yeah, that makes sense. A lot of these make sense. Is there anything that stands out to you, Stevs or Brad? I think the only one that maybe stands out is the Twins being at 9 and the Yankees being at 10, maybe flipping those two,
I think it's more of the fact that there is no Guardians.
or Mariners for that matter. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of playoff contenders that, you know, didn't make this list. And I mean,
Actually, the Mariners didn't get any votes from us. The White Sox got a vote. The Mets got a vote. The Guardians got 2 votes.
I did not vote for the White Sox. I know that. Stevs, did you vote for the
I
White
did.
Sox? What are you doing?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, I did. No, I did.
that's worse than my Reds take. Okay.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's really not.
Brad's nodding. Yep. It's pretty. Yeah.
It's not. As that I had him that high, yes. Because I'm looking at these teams and I disagree with it.
I don't know
but-
who didn't vote for the Guardians. I had the Guardians at
I
I had the Guardians at like 6. I was like
it
pretty
what?
high.
was
top
Stevs.
for rankings.
Stevs.
Yeah.
I had him at 10.
I'm
Yeah, I
at
didn't have
6.
them.
Stevs. God. Okay. Atrocious, Stevs.
The fucking
Stevs! Shut your ass up, Steve.
All right.
Don't
You
don't
go
cook
I'm
that
tired. I'm sorry.
All right, we're
Look
gonna
up.
wrap up in a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. But again, like you said, Tom, the hardest one to make is the first one. So, I
Truly.
mean, yeah, it's pretty
All
fun.
right. All right. So on Monday, you're gonna get the weekend series recap. We're gonna hit in our first postseason simulator thing where we take the current standings and we do like Tom vote, a Brad vote, a Stebbs vote, and whoever gets 2 of 3 or a sweep moves on to the next round. And I think that'll be fun. It'll be a little bit chaotic because we get really angry at each other because that always happens. This is our first power rankings. This is our second recap. It went a little bit smoother than last time. We had a couple errors in the middle of it that you guys won't have to see. Thank you all for listening to the 4A Baseball podcast. If you've enjoyed, please consider leaving a rating or review, sharing this with a friend. We will see you all next time on the 4A Baseball podcast. Peace.